All right, joining me now is Republican Missouri Congressman and ranking member of the House Budget Committee, Jason Smith. Congressman, thank you so much for joining me today. We just heard this report from Mark Meredith that set us up pretty nicely here to have a little talk about infrastructure. There's been a tremendous amount of back and forth between Democrats and Republicans on this in the Biden administration, talking about this enormous package that they've put together regarding infrastructure and also the expanded definition of infrastructure. Democrats have included things like home care for seniors, housing, civilian climate corps, among a list of things that they consider infrastructure. Republicans, a much shorter list as to what actually includes the definition of infrastructure. So now, there are some of the goodies that have come out in this Republican package that's been put forth that Democrats traditionally like, money for rail, for public transit, that sort of thing. Do you think that Democrats are going to be willing to work with Republicans to come up with what essentially would be a more refined, a smaller infrastructure package that everyone agrees with?
Molly, that's a great question. When you look at the Biden boondoggle that was presented, the initial $2.3 trillion infrastructure package, less than 6% of that went to roads and bridges, less than 2% went to locks and dams and airports, less than 5% went towards broadband. So you're talking about a $2.3 trillion, less than 13% went to real infrastructure, but $600 billion went to implementing the Green New Deal, $400 billion to expand Obamacare. This proposal that just recently came out in the Senate is about infrastructure. It is about roads and bridges. And, you know, Republicans and Democrats should be able to work together in making sure that we fix our crumbling roads and bridges. But we definitely don't need to do it at the expense of the working class. And that is what we have to pay attention to. The proposal that Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer brought forward will be a spending boondoggle at the expense of working class. And we can't have that.
When we've been looking at this new administration, here we are in the early months of the Biden administration, there's been a lot of talk about the president being under pressure from the progressive side of the party. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that the administration is looking at what the Republicans have put forth, and she said that the president will invite members to the White House. If you're a member of the GOP, a Republican, and you have the president's ear, what could you potentially say to him to get closer to a collaboration on infrastructure?
You know, we saw it with the Biden bailout bill, which he called COVID just a few weeks back. They did the photo op at the White House and listened to Republicans speak. But that's all they did, was listen to them speak. They didn't implement anything. They continued in that package to give $1,400 checks to illegal immigrants, $1,400 checks to prisoners. They did not listen. The president on January 20th, when he was sworn into office, said that he wanted unity. The only unity that he has been able to bring together is unifying his progressive base. He has not been working with Republicans. He's invited them down to the White House, but he has not brought forward any policies that show that he's willing to meet in the middle.
Yeah, I think one of the big questions here is it necessary for Democrats to work with Republicans? And there's one very prominent Democrat, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who's a big power player right now. And here's what he had to say about infrastructure.
The greatest need we have now that can be done in a bipartisan way is conventional infrastructure. We can move into those other areas also. Now, whether there will be as much of a cooperation on that as there is on this, so why don't you take the greatest need that we have and do it on something that we all agree on?
Conventional infrastructure is the way he put it. The big question here is, do Democrats have to work with Republicans to make it happen, or do you think the Democrats have the numbers to go on their own?
Molly, if Democrats want to make sure we provide an infrastructure bill that does not harm the working class, they will work with Republicans. You're looking at the United States Senate right now. It's a 50-50 split with the tie-breaking vote going by the vice president. The House of Representatives is a razor-thin majority. It's 212 to 218. If Speaker Pelosi loses 3 Democrats, she can't pass legislation. And when you're looking at the liberal squad, the progressive wing of the House Democrats, she's going to have to work with Republicans to make sure we pass legislation that doesn't hurt the working class.
The Problem Solvers Caucus has put forward a lot of information on this. It seems like they've pointed to some of the things that can be collaborated on. Congressman Jason Smith, we really appreciate your insight today. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday afternoon. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Molly.
Benjamin?